3 years ago, I completely lost my creative spark. For about 2 years, when I would start making a track, I would end up frustrated and disappointed. When I started paying attention to my thoughts, I discovered that the cause of this writer's block was in a set of fears that, unbeknownst to me, took over my mindset. And when I started recognizing them, it unlocked my inspiration again. So now I'd like to talk about 4 fears that every musician comes across, and that will ruin your creative process if you're unaware of them. And I will show you my method for spotting and dispelling fears right at the time they arise, so you can consciously keep yourself creative and inspired.
Nobody likes you.
It might seem silly, but actually it's the quickest way to creative demise. Because if you follow this thought, you have 2 ways to a dead end. One is you access your collection of thoughts on what makes a perfect track, based on maybe what the authorities said or your personal experience. And this instantly limits your options to a box which has a set of rules you play by and don't break. And as a consequence, it limits your creative potential. If there is no room for novelty and experimentation, no wonder the creative spark is gone. And the second way to kill your creativity is to look at what is trending and then try to make something similar in the hope to ride the wave. But is it actually a good idea to pursue a copycat path that may or may not bring you success? Isn't it better to try winning people's hearts by doing your own thing?
I don't want to know what the version that sounds good on the radio sounds like. I want to know what the Ed Sheeran version sounds like. And I thought the closer we could get to what makes him him, the better it would be.
We are not here to obey a set of rules and put out the same songs on the conveyor. We are here to learn the rules as a starting point and then break them to push the limits. Listen to what 3 great creatives think about this.
I find that it's better to chase a feeling in a direction and allow the automatic flow, the intuitive part of you take over versus the ego, which is going through the library of everything you've accumulated, everything you know, and that, well, this is going to be it, and it almost always fails.
I would say embrace the nonsense, because sense is massively overrated. I think it makes sense. It's not important. And I find nonsense, I'm drawn to nonsense more than I am sense, especially in the beginning of an idea. Because nonsense frees you from the idea that it's serious and there are straight lines. There were no lines. People put the lines there. You know, it belongs within, it belongs without. It's made up.
I think it's terribly dangerous for an artist to fulfill other people's expectations. I think they generally produce their worst work when they do that.
Most of us have people we look up to, and some of them we tend to idolize. Have you ever found yourself listening to music or watching interviews with your favorite creators and thinking, wow, they all possess some kind of secret magic only they understand? And then you get to making music, and their works that you admire crawl in the back of your head as reference points. And you find yourself comparing your music, sometimes just raw ideas, to those best works that you love. And of course, it doesn't sound as good. This way, instead of becoming your inspiration, they become your demise. But actually, you're just falling for an illusion here. You're looking at a culmination of someone's life's work, disregarding the path they walked to get there. The hundreds, sometimes thousands of songs they wrote that no one heard. And here you are, in the beginning or in the middle of your way, thinking you already need to be further down the path. And not your path, but someone else's. So now that you've unseen this mirage, hopefully you'll be able to accept your own way and walk it at your own pace. As Pat Metheny said,
so do your best. Do what you know is good, because that's the only thing you know. Don't worry about what somebody else thinks is good. Do what you know is good. And if you do that, I really feel like you might get to something.
Have you ever found yourself scrolling social media and thinking, wow, Everyone's so successful and active, and I don't have nearly as much to show. I'm doing something wrong. I need to do more, and you feel that stress building up. You run to your computer and you start writing. But can you actually make something good out of state of fear? Is it how you're supposed to make music? And more importantly, do you even need to worry about speeding up your pace? I think this fear comes from a preconception that you have to achieve a certain result to be successful, like a song that gets millions of streams, or a prestigious award, or collaborating with a top artist. And there might be a desire of proving yourself attached to this. But do you actually want to sacrifice your creative process to your ego? Because if the primary goal of creating music is becoming bigger, more important, and raising status, the other side of it is also attached. What if they won't accept me? And then you find yourself stuck, scared to make a step because you're unsure if they will like it. Sure, it can feel great to be appreciated, but it's not the goal. Actually, it can only bring you very shallow happiness. The deeper happiness is simply in creating something with curiosity and devotion, and it doesn't depend on external factors that are outside of your control.
When truth be told, we've not sold anything. We've only made music and people chose to stream it and share it and buy it and whatever. We're not responsible for it, our success.
We create to radiate and to shine. So share your light and warmth, just like the sun does.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Have you ever found yourself starting off with a great idea, full of inspiration, but then something went wrong, and you just cannot express what you want? The idea is just not developing. You play back what you've got, and it's not the banger you imagined. And suddenly, negative thoughts start to creep in. Oh no, I can't make the perfect track. I can't stand up to the competition. My music sounds bad, so bad. I can't do it. This is a typical bad day that can happen to a musician on any level. But what actually causes these thoughts? It could be two things. One, you might have fallen into a cognitive bias of professional deformation. Basically, because for us music creators, banging out a track is second nature, we take all the skills and knowledge that go into it for granted, and the bar of our ambitions and aims for our music constantly gets higher. This can create tension when you make music, and sometimes you fail to jump over your mental bar. This can happen to any musician, but the bias of professional deformation is not what causes the fears and stops creativity. What does is the perception of failure as defeat. If in your head you believe that you have to always win, meaning make a hit track every time you open a door, then of course you've set yourself up for frustration. Even great composers like Hans Zimmer and John Williams have to write hundreds of ideas, most of which get abandoned. And for every platinum hit, Ed Sheeran and Ryan Tedder had, they wrote thousands of songs that no one heard. So remember that the point is to walk the way. Because this is the only thing you always have. Destinations always change, but the way always stays.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
And be easier on yourself, because otherwise you might delete your hit, like Deadmau5 almost did.
Abandoned. Strobe is one of the biggest electronic songs of all time. Actually, the song almost never existed because I finished it and I didn't think it was very good. I almost deleted it. I sent it to a friend of mine who worked at the record label, and I sent it to him. He said, "This is great. We should put it out." And I'm like, you know what? Fine. Whatever. Well, I'll put it on the B side of a record. And we did that, and then it caught on. I guess everybody really enjoyed it. So it just goes to show, if you're an aspiring producer and you do something you don't like or you're not really feeling, you should share it anyway, because it's probably going to be someone who likes it.
Now, while those 4 fears are very common, there are many other ones, and some of them may be very specific to you. This is why I like to share my method for identifying and dispelling fears when they arise, so you can keep yourself in the creative state. So I call this method negativity spotting, and in essence, it's a journaling method. But it's quite different from what you would usually do when journaling, like writing about your day or manifesting your best success. It's actually quite the opposite. It's about writing out all the fears and negative thoughts that you have inside on paper. And the beauty of it is, when you see your fears and thoughts on paper, actually, they're not as bad and scary, because it seems that inside your head, you almost see them through a magnifying glass. But on paper, they're small and harmless. And sometimes they're actually quite funny. So all you need to do is to observe your thoughts and write them down. And now I'll give you a 6-step process that you can use anytime you feel down creatively. 1. Remember about observing your thoughts. When you're about to start making music, or if you're already feeling stuck and frustrated, just remember that you can and you want to observe your thoughts with pure curiosity, not to fight them. Like, what's actually happening in my head right now? 2. Submerge. Ask yourself, is something disturbing me right now? And then try to feel your breath for a couple of seconds. Try to notice if there are any spaces between your thoughts. And then try to notice the thoughts themselves. What is the voice inside your head saying? If it's difficult for you to notice your thoughts straight away, you can use this technique. Because thoughts and emotions are closely connected, it can be helpful to first pay attention to the feelings you have at the moment. You can always find your feelings in your body. So try to feel your body from the inside. Close your eyes and ask, can I feel energy in my hands, in my feet? Try to feel that energy that gives life to your body from the inside. Once you can feel your body, try to see if you feel any tension and ask yourself, what is the cause of this tension? Try to find out. 3. Keep on it. Keep feeling your breath, your body, and trying to notice tension and negative thoughts circling in your head until you get an impulse and want to write something down. 4. Pour it out on paper. Write down what you found, even if it seems silly or random. 5. Keep pulling. Now that you're onto something, keep pulling the thread and writing down everything that follows. If you write something down and it feels like a dead end, but you still feel uncomfortable, you might not have reached the end yet. In that case, try asking why. This may take many times, but keep digging and you'll get to the core of it. You might also need to feel your body again, or observe your thoughts for a little while, but always follow what feels right, and you'll know when the process is complete. 6. Be fearless and honest. Make a promise to yourself to face anything you find, because it might feel weird or stupid to write down a stream of thought, but be honest with yourself, because at the end of the day, it's only for you to see. I really hope that this method will help you to deal with fears, but there might be another thing causing your frustration when you make music, especially if you're just starting out, and it's a bad creative mindset that makes you focus on the wrong things when you're making music, which kills your creative flow. So watch this video to learn about the mindset that will change how you view music creation and help you bring back your creative spark.